I am going to make a bold statement. You, as the parent, have way more power, more influence, more potential to create real progress for your child than anyone else in this entire world. And I promise you that. And if you stay with me for the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to explain exactly why this is the case. But before I go any further, I want you to know that I'm not saying this lightly at all. I'm not just kind of throwing big, bold statements out there without really understanding what this feels like. That burnout, the constant juggling, therapies, appointments, advocating, the meltdowns, the stress, just like the heartbreak that just hits you in the middle of nowhere, and that worry about the future. That like genuine feeling of, am I doing enough? Because I can say all of this knowing exactly what that weight feels like and what it is like to carry this as a parent every single day. So please just trust me on this for a minute. I've worked for over 15 years with children who have very complex communication and learning needs. There's autism, apraxia, comprehension challenges, brain injuries, medical differences, and really just learning profiles that don't follow a simple path. And in all of that time, there is one thing that has become very, very clear to me. The biggest process will never, ever come from doing just 1 hour a week. It just won't. Let me explain it this way. If I decided that I wanted to run a marathon, and really, I'd be starting from scratch here. I'm a mom. I don't have much time to work out, let alone like go running. I can't remember the last time I went on a run. As if this was my goal and I went for one 30-minute run every week, I would get somewhere, but I wouldn't get very far, and I certainly wouldn't be able to complete a marathon. If I ran like 3 times a week and gradually built that up to running a little bit longer, I would get further. However, if I took a fully integrated approach, running training, strength work, recovery, eating right, taking care of my body, having like some jacuzzis and saunas and steams, that would be where that real transformation would happen. I might actually be able to hit my goal of running a marathon. And communication really isn't any different. When you have a child who is struggling with something as complex as language and you want to make big changes, they start to kind of close that gap between them and their peers, or something happens that is life changing for them, it is going to require something that is intensive, not necessarily more pressure, but something that is really, really consistent. And here is where everything shifts. Because who is with your child the most? Who spends the most time with them? Who is with them in the morning, in the evening, throughout the day? You are. So there's a second thing that I've also learned. And this is that progress does not come from a fixed program. It comes from moment by moment individualization. And I want you to remember that moment by moment part. It's not just, here's an individualized plan for your child, follow it. This will take you through the next couple of months. Is being able to individualize in a moment by moment basis. How is my child responding right now? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to support more? Can I step back? Or can I push them towards independence? Can they do more in this moment if I allow them to try it by themselves? Because as humans, we're not the same throughout the day, and your child is no different. There are moments where things are easier. There are moments when things are harder. And there are moments where everything just feels too much and overwhelming. And that level of adjustment, that is not going to happen once a week in a clinic. That is going to happen in real time. And you are the only person who is there enough to do that consistently. You're also the person that your child trusts the most. And lastly, you know them the best, right? You are going to know how to get the best out of them without a shadow of a doubt. Then there is the third piece. And this is that it is really important for these new processes that are being built are woven into everyday life. right? Not just sitting down for therapy in an office, but in the car, at the dinner table, while getting dressed, while playing, while at the park, while at the mall, whatever your life is looking like, right? We all have different lives. And this needs to be able to fit in to how you, your family, and your child are living every single day. Because we don't just want a child to perform in a session. We want their brain to actually start processing language differently across everything. I worked for nearly 10 years in a program where children were getting around 20 hours a week of support, and they made incredible progress. But here is something that people don't often realize. That person sitting down and delivering the therapy with the child, many of them had just 2 weeks of training. 2 weeks. And those 2 weeks were for them to work with multiple children, not just to get to know one child incredibly well. So, what made the difference? What allowed them to make this incredible progress? It wasn't the individual therapist working with them. No, it was the intensity, the structure, the consistency, and how it carried into everyday life. So, this was what I was doing professionally for 10 years. And then I became a parent, and my whole life flipped upside down, not just because I became a mom, but because I realized that my child was going to have significant communication challenges. Challenges that, quite honestly, pushed me beyond what I had seen before and what I was very comfortable and knowledgeable about in my professional experience. So I had a decision to make. Do I spend hours chasing therapy? Do I spend my days driving her to different therapists and just spending a lot of money and time just dedicated to this? Or do I learn how to support her every day at home? And this is where I really want you to hear me, okay? You do not need to know everything. Trust me. I did not go and get a degree in this, a degree in that, a degree in that to support my child. No, because I didn't have to. Didn't need to become an expert overnight. I didn't need to have all of the answers, right? She's a little girl. I just needed to be one step ahead of her. That is it. But there is something really important here, because it isn't just about what you are doing. It is about who is guiding you, right? How do I know what step ahead of her I need to be in order to lead her in the right direction and make progress, instead of either wasting time or potentially even making things more challenging for us both? So really, it's about who is helping you to understand. Am I going in the right direction? Am I actually helping my child? Or am I unintentionally making things harder? Because that uncertainty, that is what keeps parents stuck. That feeling of, I'm trying everything, but I don't know if it's working, or I don't know what part of this is working. So, what you need isn't more random strategies. You need the right person leading you, the right support behind you, even in these uncertain moments, right? So you can feel confident, you can feel grounded, and you know that that input you're giving every single day is making things easier, not harder. Because when you have the right guidance, everything comes back to these three things: consistency, individualization, and real life integration. And now you're going to actually be able to do them at home. And I'll tell you something that actually might surprise you. Life-changing progress can start in as little as 10 minutes per day. Yep, just 10 intentional minutes. Because when you make this shift, when everything you're doing starts supporting your child's communication, it doesn't just stay in those 10 minutes. It carries into everything that you're doing. And this is where things will start to change. They can tell you what they need. They can tell you about their day. They can explain to you why they're upset. Meltdowns reduce, understanding increases, conversations feel more natural, and for the first time, things actually start to feel a little bit easier. So, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, this might be what I'm missing, then I want to show you exactly how this looks like. I've broken this down into 3 simple steps so you know what to focus on, how to support your child, and how to actually make this work in everyday life. You can watch my free masterclass in the link below, or if you want to talk about your child specifically, you can book a call with me. I'm always happy to chat to another parent because you don't have to do this alone. You just need the right guidance. So everything you're already doing, and I know it's exhausting, but imagine that started working for you and things gradually got a bit easier.